Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm really happy and really excited to be here. First of all, I wanted to thank you for taking the time and have a little moment to speak here with us, the fans of the show and your work. So thank you so much, and welcome to everyone that are coming here and seeing a super amazing live.
Thank you so much. I'm very aware. A lot of our the fans of Supernatural, in South America. I'm very aware of Colombian fans, and I'm just sitting, looking at a map here, just thinking where you are compared to where I am just now. And I just so when I got asked to do this, I immediately wanted to do it. I have a real fondness in my heart for Colombia, and I hope I can come for real in person at some point. I would love that. I would love to come.
The invitation is open, so it's just that you just have to say the word, and we are very happy to welcome you. Look, I have here something. I don't know if you can recognize this. It's a special necklace. So it can protect me from the demons
Oh yes, you need that.
of this life, because you never know what can happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so for everyone that are watching this live, thank you for being here. We're going to have a little moment with Ruth Connell. She's most known for play the role of this. How can you call it? This manipulative witch on the on the Supernatural series.
Clever. She's a clever witch.
The clever. Oh yeah, she's super smart as well. It is. So let's begin with it. So let's talk. Maybe for the people that are watching us right now, and maybe they don't know what are we talking regarding your role on the series. Tell us a little bit about who is Rowena.
Well, Rowena was brought in to Supernatural on season 10. And I thought, oh, I'm lucky to be in this last season of Supernatural. And I was brought in for Mark Sheppard's character, Crowley, who was the king of hell. And I was actually, it turned out that I was his mother. And I was a 360-something-year-old Scottish witch. However, in the course of the 6 seasons, because we ended up doing 15 seasons of Supernatural, in the course of the next 6 seasons, I really loved that Rowena became a standalone character, not just the mother of the King of Hell. She became Rowena in her own right. And she left when the show finished. I don't want to give any spoilers if you haven't seen it, but she's now the reigning Queen of Hell. So she's had a promotion. She's done well for herself.
Super great, and that's something that's amazing, because the first time that we saw this character, like the first time that we saw you on screen, it was just like 5 seconds, and that's all. So and that happens on the 10th season, on the chapter 4, on the 4th chapter, on the 4th episode of the series.
Survivor, yeah. Survivor.
So and the very first time that we are able to see you or to show you is just you sitting on a couch reading a book, and with I think it's 2 people on the ceiling, and with
yeah, I'm drinking a whiskey. I have a little whiskey, and I was very nervous. Jensen Ackles, who's the lead of the show with Jared, he was directing the episode, and I was really nervous. And honestly, I was just so like trying not to knock the whiskey glass over, or fall over or do anything wrong. So it was very nice. I went all the way up to Vancouver just to film that one shot. And it was very nice to get to do that and go away and then come back for my next episode where I had a lot more dialogue. So I was very lucky to have that very powerful and short first episode.
that was like one of these post-credit scenes on these Marvel movies. That was like yeah.
Yeah.
And after that, we have to wait till the 10th episode of the same season so we can see a little bit more of who Rowena is.
Yeah.
And it's a stunning. You do an amazing job. I have to say,
Can I
because
ask a question? Can I ask a question?
yeah, sure.
In Colombia, is it my voice and subtitles, or is it dubbed?
Well, it depends. On the local channels, we can see the show dub, right?
Okay.
But if we saw it on different platforms, the fans will like to see it on your original voice.
So you can hear my Scottish accent.
Exactly. Yeah.
I saw myself in Germany, and I had a 6-year voice in the dubbing. So I was wondering in Colombia how I sounded. I'd be interested.
Actually, I haven't seen an episode in Spanish, so I'm not able to tell you
Okay.
how it is or how your voice sounds. But I think that let's hope that it sounds really good. Fingers crossed. So yeah, we have to wait until the 10th episode so we can see more of your character, of who is she, on this little sneak peek that we were able to show on the last episode. And she is so powerful. She is, and I have to say it again, she's manipulative. She's cold. She's classy. She's amazing, an amazing witch. So I have to ask you this. I know that you are a theater actress, and that's one of the things that I'm most happy for doing this, because I'm a theater actor as well. So I can see that you use a lot of things that are used on the theater on this character. Can you please tell us a little bit more about what are those things?
Yeah, so she is she's a larger than life character. You know, the audition, when I remember in the audition, the sides I had written by Bob Behrens, there was a kind of pretend scene that they made up, and I had my favorite line was in the scene that eventually was in the show a long time later, and the line was, now do you understand why it breaks my heart to see what a colossal bleep you've become? And I remember, you know, in the audition with the producers, they were saying, you know, she's enjoying this, you know, she's not so sincere, you know, and I remember, you know, if you give me an inch, I will take a mile. So I remember feeling I had license that she's playing a role. You know, like she's poor, I was guessing my backstory, but she's poor, she's come from nothing, she's got fancy gowns on, she's got her hair done, she's playing a role, and she's been around for hundreds of years, and she's playing with a certain level of people, and so there's an enjoyment and a certain level of theatricality in her nature because it's fun for her. But then I think later on in the show you see more of the real side of her, and she becomes more real and less theatrical, I think, as time goes by.
And that's something that I want to mention, that it, and also it's something that we can see, like how this character evolves along the history of the show. And there's something that I don't know if this happened because of the death of your son on the show of Crowley, that she becomes like more human, right? Because she and we used to see her like working with Lucifer, with Crowley, with the Winchesters, and she always worked with these people for her own benefit, right?
Yeah, but I think what happens is true. I think you're right. The death of her own son, it makes her realize something. I think her own death a couple of times. And I think having people like Sam and Dean and Castiel and later on Jack, I think having these other people who've gone through similar things puts her more in touch with who she is as a person. and brings about a softness and connection. She has some real connection in her life, and that's what they give her. There's not very many people she can connect with on that way, especially Sam, I suppose. You know, they've been through similar things.
Exactly, and that's something that we can see, like how she evolves. And actually, that you said she died a couple times. I only seen two of those. I don't know if there's more because I haven't seen the finale of the season yet.
Okay.
But these deaths, and talking again about the death of Crowley, which is your son. This deaths, because the first time that Rowena dies, she's like, okay, use this pill and I'm gonna go back, and came back, and she came a little bit, we can see it's stronger. She used her powers and blah blah blah. But then she dies again, and in that part is where we can see that she's coming back, but she's tired.
She's vulnerable. She's more vulnerable.
Exactly, she's more vulnerable, the powers. So how do you think that in this show, how can you express this to the fans? Like, not only saying, oh, she died a couple of times and she's not stronger as she was before.
You know, many of the fans have watched for many, many years, and some have only started watching recently, but they've watched everything quickly on Netflix. And it amazes me the level of insight the fans have. I learn things from the fans. Sometimes I read something that a fan thinks and I think, oh yeah, or I never thought about that. And there's such a depth of care. You know, they're really invested in the show, and it's wonderful. I think sometimes you do something and you care and the writers care, and we try and put layers in, but then the fans add a whole other layer, and so they don't need lead very much. They're good. they get whatever you do, and then they add some themselves. I think it's part of fandom.
That's amazing. Now, talking about fans, and knowing that you are also a theater actress, I wanted to ask you, which one is the one that you think is the main difference of acceptance? Because when you are on a play, the fans or the public will react live, right? And they will scream, they will cry, they will, whatever reaction they will have. But now that this is a series, and we have to wait until what happens in the show and to see how your character develops. Like, which one do you think is the main difference of this acceptance, or which one do you like the most?
Well, I remember doing a play called Men Should Weep, which sounds like something Rowena would say. Men should weep. And my first line, I sometimes play nice characters, but this character, she was a bit of a bism, as we say. Don't know if you have that word, translation of that word. But and my first line was like, "Shut it, you wee naff." And the audience, I remember the first night, the opening night, the audience laughed at the first line. And you're kind of like, whoa, okay. And it can give you an energy, and you're off to the races. You know, you're off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's other nights you go on stage and there's much less of a reaction, but you still have to bring the same energy and story. So the same thing applies. When I do things, when I would go to the set, and I remember one of my first speaking episodes, Girls, 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 I really committed to saying something like, "Killing demons makes me hungry," or something like that. And the Canadian crew laughed. And to me, it's the same thing. That was a nice response. And I thought, there's a chance this might be okay. But you're right, I didn't know till it aired 3 months later. Mm-hmm. I thought people were going to hate me. And I was prepared for that. I was prepared to be hated. But Rowena wasn't, rather. And so it's kind of, you have to make your choices, you have to play your part, you have to do your best, and then it's kind of in the lap of the gods a little bit. But I always, when I'm acting for camera, the cinematographer Serge from Supernatural, he said to me, every camera is like a little stage. and that's how I think of it. You can feel the camera, and I think less about the difference between camera acting and, stage acting. You have to breathe and you have to project, but I think less about the difference and more about the similarity of meaning what you mean in the moment you say it. And that's always what I come back to when I don't know what else to do. Just really mean it. Acting 101,
Exactly.
really mean it.
And also enjoy the part, and enjoy.
Yeah. And
And
she's an enjoyable character. She was so enjoyable. Not every part is as easy to enjoy. And I'm so grateful to the boys. They let me play and be over the top, and everybody encouraged me to do more, and I'm so lucky. She was such a fun character.
That's amazing. And that you mentioned before, you said that you were prepared for the fans to hate the character, right?
I was, yeah.
But it happens otherwise. Like, it's one of these characters that you wanted to hate, but it's impossible. Like, you just love the character. So when you saw this reaction that you were prepared for one thing, and then happen other thing, and people start to talk about you, to talk about the relationships she had between the other characters on the show, knowing that she is not like she's not the star of the show, right? But she is so important on the background. So
she's the star of her own show.
totally, yeah. So, how was being like when you know that the people were loving you instead of hating you?
I loved that it was well received. Jeremy Carver was the showrunner, and it felt a little bit like fate. The whole thing. Everyone said to me, "You have no job security with Supernatural. They kill all the women." But I did 12 episodes in my first season, and that was because of how it went with Mark Sheppard and the guys, and it was just one of those lucky things where I think all the things aligned. I was ready. The part was there. The writers, I count some of the writers from the show among my friends now. Meredith Glenn and Bob Behrens and Steve Yockey, and hopefully, Jeremy and Andrew Dabb and all the people, Eugenie and Bob and everyone really. And there's such a family feeling to Supernatural, and so it's hard now to peel back and think what it's like to not have that. I'm just so grateful that it just was one of those experiences where all the pieces fit together. It's rare. It's lightning in a bottle, and I'm super grateful that I've had that experience. Mostly because in theatre, you're part of something, and you're part of a community. And I'm interested to hear what theatre's like in Colombia. It's very rare in a television set. I understand, my own experience really is this, but it's very rare that there is such a community feeling, and there is a family, and it lasts so long. And so I love community with theatre, and I'm so lucky I got that in a TV show.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's amazing that you were able to experience and to feel as well that family ambience that we felt on the stage with the whole crew, and that you were able to feel that and to experience that on the stage, on the TV play. That it's something that's really amazing. And now that we're talking about the relationships between your cast crew, the cast members, how was it like when you arrived to the show? It was the 10th season, so they were working lots of years before you came to the show. How was these relationships? How was starting these new relationships with these people that were working for a very long time?
Yeah, well, what happens when a show has been running so long is it has a certain way of doing things, and there's a comfort and a comfortability. And so my first episode was Jensen directing, because by that point he's comfortable enough to direct too. And The set was quiet, it was peaceful, everyone was doing their thing. Nobody's trying to prove who they are, because if you don't know by the 10th season, you don't know. So everyone's kind of, in their lane doing their job, and that means you're free to come into your lane and be creative in your lane, and there's space for you because people, there's a relaxation, a degree of relaxation, and the show's not going to fail or succeed depending on what you do. It's already a success. I think this is me, my perception. And so I just, it started with Jensen. He took the time to talk to me, and I still remember our first conversation. And honestly, from then on, I was treated as far more as a guest star, I think, than as usual. And we've been through so much together now. We've been through, especially because we do conventions.
Mm-hmm.
We're like a traveling circus. We've been through so much together. We've been through a lot of life together, ups and downs and everything else. And so that familiarity and comfortability is, it's special and it's rare, and you can't, it'll never leave. I don't think it'll ever leave now.
That's great. That's great. Now, let's talk about what things that as Ruth you have, like, what are on the part of Rowena, like, which I don't know if you are how can I say it? Let me say it right. I wanted to say it right. Like aptitudes, or for example, she is very, I don't know, Rowena isn't. For example, you are a very happy woman, and maybe Rowena, you don't put that of yours on the character. So what parts of you as Ruth you put into Rowena's
I related to the survivor element, somebody who has been through a lot and still keeps going. I related to that in her. I related to somebody who, she's very good at magic. She's a master of what she does. And I'm not saying I'm a master, but I want to be very good at what I do. So, and I'm not as confident as she is. I think in all the years, I don't know if I ever said the word sorry as Rowena. And I wish I was more like that in my real life.
Mm-hmm.
She acts a lot more callous than I am. But I think the thing that I have inside of me that I like, that's similar to hers, that I got to show and get and explore more, was I have some naughtiness. I have some, and there's permission. It was nice to have the permission to be cheekier, and I have that in me. But usually, you have to know me very well or for a very long time before I show you that side of me. So yeah, Rowena gave me permission to show the whole world my cheekiest side.
That's great. Now let's talk about the relationship that Rowena has with her son. It's a complicated relationship because I always ask, like, how is that he's falling again on her lies every time. But I wanted to know this kind of relationship. It was hard for you to act like you don't care about anything, like you only goodwill. It was that hard? Was it hard?
No, Mark is really naturally one of the most talented actors. It comes very naturally to him, and I prepared for the part like I was doing a play. Some TV actors, they kind of learn the script and you can do a retake, so they don't mind if they don't know it so much. And there's freedom in that. It's not criticism, but I learned the script like I'm going to go on stage and have to say it with no prompts. And I So I did my homework, and so I was very secure in what I was doing and saying, and so that gave me a freedom to play with Mark, and he understands exactly what I'm doing, and I'm just, you know, bouncing off of him really, and yeah, we have a natural, you know, we have a natural antagonism sometimes. I'm very fond of Mark. He's, you know, I count his, you know, I count his mum and his wife and his daughter and his sons amongst my friends, you know, and so sometimes you have a chemistry or a rapport, and wow, lucky me. I knew what to do with it, and he knew what to do with me.
Yeah, and that makes things like better for both of you in terms of acting. So that's great. Now that we talk about theater, and now we're talking about series, I want to ask you if at some point you believe that theater is going to disappear because of these things that we are seeing. Like every day you see big productions of movies, of series. Every day you found a new streaming platform. And so I wanted to ask you, what do you think about this, about that? Do you think it's going to disappear or to immigrate?
No, I think when the pandemic is over, I think we will love to convene again when we can. We will love to go to see live music and live theatre. I think live theatre has existed since caveman times. I think somebody stood up with a stick and told a story in caveman times, and we've been doing that ever since. I love film. I love television. I love that we're in the golden age of television. I think movies are going to, I think it's all good. I do think we love to see and be in the presence of things that are happening as they're happening. I hope that the governments and, you know, the arts bodies and councils, I don't know how it works in Colombia, but I hope we support theatre. And it's very clear in Britain, the actors you love to see in movies. Judi Dench didn't do her first film until she was 53. She was a theatre actress. You know, Helen Mirren was in the Royal Shakespeare Company, Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, all of these people. They learned their craft and their trade through theatre, and that's not why you should do theatre. You should do theatre for theatre, but it feeds into television and film and to the wider audience. And then nowadays it feeds back the way we go and see a play because somebody from television is in a play, and it's a very symbiotic relationship. So I think if film and TV is thriving, theatre should thrive too. And I would hate for theatre to disappear, and
yeah,
I would hate that. I think the live experience can be really special.
Yeah, it's it's like the experience. You can compare the experience to when you go to a theater. You can compare it with the same experience as when you go to see a movie, because you're not only going to see the movie to enjoy the movie. You're going to live an experience. The smell of the popcorn, the people on the line, and it's the same feeling when you're going to a play. Just like it gives me goosebumps. The experience when you enter to the theater, when you look for your chair, that you are going to see something that it's live and there's no retakes, no reshoots. It's an experience.
And also actors, not every actor, actors can love theatre. There's a depth of exploration. I mean, I'm sure some movie stars, you know, I'm sure they do a depth of preparation and research and rehearsal, but often in television you might not even get a read through. You might just stand there and go. And there's such a depth of excavation in theatre. I think actors love it. And there's such a challenge, and it's so good for you to do it, that I think actors will always want to do theatre. And that's the instant response, as you're saying, the instant reaction. Mm-hmm. You know, Mark Rylance on stage, I don't know if you've ever had the chance to see anything he's done on stage. I mean, he's a fantastic actor on film. There's stuff he can do on a stage that is I mean, you have to be in the presence of it to feel it and know it and see it. I mean, I've really truly believed on stage watching him that something metaphysical was happening because he's so magical. And, you know, there's other thing in theatre where something goes wrong and you were the night, the audience, where the, you know, the person tripped or, or didn't say their thing, and adds to the danger and the excitement of what's happening. Can you tell me a little bit about theatre in Colombia, what it's like, what, you know, what the situation is?
The what?
Theatre in Colombia, what's the situation? I mean, I know you have music and dance. I know that's very vibrant, but can you tell me a little bit more?
Here it's like, I wish that it would be more like, it has more acceptance. It doesn't have that kind of acceptance compared with a movie. Like in this, it's something that we have to train people, because yes, you go for a concert. When you go to a concert, you pay a certain fee. If you go to a movie, you pay your ticket. But the culture here, when you go to a theater, and this is going to sound awful, but it's true. People, like, it's like their pockets hurts when they have to pay for a play. It's like, dude, the same money that you can spend on a beer, on a burger, on a pizza, you can't spend it like going to theater. So it's not that we don't have that it's not common here, like something that you do every Sunday, like, hey, let's go to a theater. But companies that we have and the shows that we have on theater, they are amazing. They're amazing. They're beautiful. Recently here, for example, on the city, I'm based on Medellin, Colombia. The theaters just opened last week, so it's been amazing. Just this feeling that you are able to go back and to experience and to live that's something that we were saying before. The experience, not only go and see it, but the experience, this whole thing. So yes, it's something that it's growing. We can say it's growing here.
Well, I hope I get to come and see some at some point. I would love that.
You are more than invited. If you can come here, then just say the word. Just say the word. Let's go back and talk a little bit more about the series, because as I mentioned before, we have seen Rowena work with different, or have built alliance with different people. We know that she worked alongside with Lucifer while she was working with Crowley, and she also worked for the Winchesters. So she had made this multiple alliance. Which one do you think is the one that helped to Rowena, to the character, to grow more as a person and as a witch?
I think in the end, in the very end, I think initially Fergus Crowley. I think in the end, Sam. I think, I don't want to spoil it for you if you've not seen the last season or whatever, but I think Sam, I love that she had different relationships with each of them. She could be more maternal with Jack, like I called her Auntie Rowena with Jack, and you know, Dean she's more afraid of, but Sam, I think, because they had that shared experience, I think, and in the end, their stories are intertwined very deeply. I would like to have done more with Misha. I would like to have pulled Castiel's wings off a bit more. I would like to have done some more of that. We had like a scene, I think, that was in the, you know, in the addition, what's it called, in the DVDs, an additional scene, I think. But I would like to have done more. I enjoyed also working with Emily Swallow as the Darkness. That was a nice, fun alliance for a little while with a woman. And I would have loved to have worked with more of the women, but I've worked with all of the women at the conventions. I'm friends with all of the women through conventions more than through the show.
And now that you're mentioning, we can go back after this question to talk about the series, but now that you mentioned about the conventions, how was it your first experience? like the very first convention that you went, like having all these crowds screaming your name, loving you, hating you. How was that? That's very first experience for you.
It was amazing. It was amazing to walk out. I was very nervous. It was amazing, the love, the support, to walk out into, you know, a packed auditorium full of people who are just delighted to see you. The warning that comes with it is that you need to remember you're not as funny as a convention audience makes you think you are. They're so supportive and they laugh and you're like, oh, I think I could do stand up. I think I could do stand up. And that's not true. The audience is just very, very kind. But again, it was a bit more like doing theatre. You know, it was live, and I was very nervous about speaking as myself and saying the wrong thing. And that has really helped me. Even, for example, just doing this with you, you know, 10 years ago, I would have been so nervous and worried to say the wrong thing, but it really does help you. It's really helped me with my confidence, having done the convention. So again, I have Supernatural and the Supernatural fandom to thank for doing that. And then you get invited to sing at the Saturday Night Special, and I can sing a little bit, but I sing off tune sometimes, you know, I go off tune. But anyway, they have me, I go on stage on a Saturday night and I sing, and I'm like, I look like I can sing, and there's really cool pictures of me. I look like a singer. And that's something that I would have been petrified, absolutely petrified of doing. But again, the Supernatural fandom and everybody else and people I work with are so supportive that you end up doing something you never thought you would do.
And that's something, it's super crazy to see, because here, when we did the show Comic-Con Colombia, and when we had the opportunity to bring actors and actresses to the show, it's an energy that you only can feel it in that moment, because everyone, you can see the person that is crying because she or he is seeing her or his hero on stage. And it's something that we think it's that, for example, I can relate that when you see, for example, your favorite singer, right? Or when you go to a concert. So that's a pretty weird but exciting energy that you can feel in those conventions.
Yeah. And it's very humbling, and you know, it's very touching. It has given me so much. It's given me, like, I try to do my best and give to the audience, but they give me so much back. It's amazing.
Do you think that would it be different if the audience or the public doesn't have the acceptance that they have to this character? I mean, if they actually would hate it like super bad and talk like super bad things about the character, do you think that would be different to the development of the character in the show?
Yeah, I think conventions, some people don't have big parts on the show, but they're very good live and they've got good personalities and they can do very well. And that's one thing. And then other people are very popular characters in the show. There's different ingredients go into the mix. I'm not sure how much the back and forth is. I think the writers write for who they want to write to. I think they do pay attention. I do think they pay attention to what was happening online. You're just lucky if you get both. You're just really lucky. And as I said, I think the character of Rowena, when I would go to conventions, I would feel shy, but the character of Rowena would help me, not that I'm pretending to be her, but that an element of that would help me in the live shows, as you would say. It would help me with that, because you have to kind of sort of develop a persona to do on stage for hours and hours and hours, convention after convention after convention. And I have to say, I came to one in Brazil a couple of years ago, and the thing I remember about that one was I had sore cheeks at the end of it, because all the Brazilian fans kiss you hello and goodbye every time. Pre-COVID. This is pre-COVID. So I must have had like 2,000 kisses or something. And my cheeks were
on when you were signing or the autographs, and for the was it weird for you because it's not something that the people like outside are used to. Like there's something that it's really common here. I do remember that one guest that we had on the show coming from Colombia, she was like afraid of it because the very first person that came into the table, I think it was an autograph session. She grabbed her and hugged her and kissed on the cheek, and she was like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" Like it's something that you are not used to.
Yeah.
But it's the love of the fans. Let me see over here how we are on time. Okay, perfect. We have 5 minutes. Once again, thank you so much for being here with us. I'm such a fan. I'm such a geek. I love your character. As I told you before, she's so classy. It's super. It's amazing that how someone can be so bad, but so lovable, right? Like, and so classy. And she's cold, and the stare on her eyes. I just love the character so much.
I think that partly what I related to as well, you asked me this question earlier, but like she's a little bit of the underdog. I know she's powerful, but she's a bit of a chancer, and she doesn't always win. And so I think, she was never too all-knowing. She would mess up or stuff would go wrong, but she, I think there was a lot to relate to.
Right.
She was a bit of a stray cat, I think, as well.
Well, Ruth, once again, thank you so much for being here. The invitation for coming here and have more time with the fans, with us, it's open. You just have to say after everything, all of this COVID situation ends. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you for this little time that you have. It was amazing. You were such an amazing person. And once again, thank you. We have an announcement for tomorrow. We have another special guest. He's David Masus from Gotham, the series. So for everyone that are watching this live, stay tuned because tomorrow we're going to have this live as well with him. So fans of Gotham, fans of DC Comics, stay tuned for tomorrow live. And thank you so much once again, Ruth. For being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody, this is happening. We're right now officially producing our biggest tech conference ever. This is Web Congress. Get ready for what's coming next.